Greetings, user. Neural link established. Ready for takeoff.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the OS World Cup 2021. We have another very exciting match for you this evening. I know that can be said quite a bit about a lot of the matchups that we have this weekend. We've already gone through matches of the like Germany and Australia earlier, but right now we have the United States versus Brazil. This was the same matchup that we saw last year, I believe, in the round of 16. We're going to be getting another run back on this one right now. I will be one of your casters today, Chillier Pair. I am joined by none other than William Stetson.
Hello, yes. Hello, Mr. Chillier Pair. I am very excited to see this round of 16 matchup, although I will say, quite unfortunate, I think, for Brazil, and for, honestly, everyone watching today, just because this is, like, Brazil has been known to have quite the skill cap. They are definitely a team that, with like a better bracket, potentially could hit top 8, maybe even top 4 if they get very, very lucky. So seeing them hit such a juggernaut like the United States so early is a bit of a just unlucky seeding, but it's always possible. This pool isn't like super difficult. It's not at like the top level of tournament pools just yet, so we could see an upset. It's not completely out of the question, but I think we are about to get into picks and bans.
Yeah, nice and solid with the rolls here. 28 for Brazil, 41 for United States. They'll be taking that for first or second pick today. These are two teams that I think most people, you've seen them in previous years. They've been strong teams. United States, I don't think we really have to say too much about the caliber and, their strength overall, being the first seeded team going into the tournament this year. Brazil, 16th seed, kind of taken right on that middle line. A lot of roster changes for both sides this year. United States, most notably, switching out more than half their roster. You've got Digital Hypno, a returning addition to the team this year. And then, of course, you have the 4 first-timers, Arison, Exarch, Taquito, and Utami. Brazil going to be making some switches as well. They're suffering the loss of some of their previous roster from last year, most notably Nissan not coming back this year.
Nissan, no data.
That's big, I think, for them this year, as well as Tusk, actually. So it's 3 big ones.
Yeah, we actually see United States immediately banning Nomad 2, which I think is kind of surprising. I do think that streams are like one of their better skill sets with players like Utami, just like constantly, every tournament he plays, I feel like he just FCs Nomad 2 with almost an SS.
Yeah, United States is a strong stream team. I don't know what else, I can't say anyone might have predicted that. You've got, you mentioned Utami, and I mean, you got Exarch, who is a really strong stream player, even fancy Airyu, Arison, I mean, Taquito for even, adding on to that, all strong stream players.
Yeah, and even like it's even weirder seeing, as you mentioned, Brazil losing Nissan, who is like one of their core mechanics players as well. Like it does leave a bit of a hole, at least on paper. But I guess United States probably just doesn't like that song or like that map for whatever reason.
Possibly.
And then immediately coming out from Brazil, much more of an expected ban is Hidden 2. I do not view Brazil as a very, very strong low AR team. And meanwhile, you have, as mentioned, you have Digital Hypno, Taquito, Utami, just like the AR8 powerhouse. So I do not think that Brazil would want to contest them on something like that. Does make sense.
It definitely does. The United States had some big changes for that reading roster this year, and despite how strong it looked last year, I feel like they made improvements to it this year. I mean, you had players, you had the Kablaze Airyu Fancy Lad Fiery roster last year. You got Fiery Rage as that constant staying on this year, but you've got Digital Hypno back. You've got Taquito, you've got Utami, all very strong reading players, and that's not to say that the other players on the roster couldn't handle it as well, but it's not something you really want to pick into the United States, but Brazil going to be going for the free mod to start this off today. Free mod 2.
Yeah, I think that this is something that has been a bit of a recurring strategy for this early stage. People tend to really pick the free mods early. Almost every match I've seen so far has been, like, for whatever reason, the free mod pool gets exhausted quite early. I don't know if that might be because they want to allow their mod players to shine a bit more while allowing the core players to, like, warm up a bit more on no mod. That's a very possible strategy. But it seems to be working out. Even against the USA last week, Uruguay almost took that first free mod 2 point. So Brazil may be looking to sort of emulate that strategy and hopefully execute a bit more on it.
I think so. Brazil is one of those teams, and I think for free mod, while the United States is a strong team, Brazil has so many proficient mod players, especially on a Ryusei Aika free mod here, not being the most standard of free mod maps. You have the no-mod consistency on Brazil. You've got a significant number of those hard rock players. You've got the hidden reading player in someone like Xcurito or even Corion here. Whereas the United States, you know they're good at maps like this. You know they're going to have the mod players, but I think it gives you a little bit of wiggle room there. You can it's almost like a preference mod category. If you're not necessarily the most comfortable on the map as a whole, you kind of have that hidden in hard rock to make the map whatever you need it to be. So for Brazil to take that opportunity early here, kind of gauge United States' strengths and weaknesses across hidden and hard rock here, possibly early in the match, could give them a picking advantage later on, but we'll have to see. I'm surprised we're not seeing Defons in for a free mod.
Yeah, I'm surprised we're not seeing Defons on Hard Rock, but it's very possible he's just not warm enough yet. Also worth noting that this is objectively, I think one of the easier Hard Rock maps since it is CS 3.5 and it's AR9. So taking hidden on that is it's pretty dense. It's not the most. It's not the easiest map to read on hidden for players who aren't super experienced with it. But for Hard Rock, it's it only goes up to CS 4.55. The CS is not even really an issue. If you can read AR10, chances are you can play it. But we are getting into the map now. It looks like no overmods as we saw last week with USA on Fremont 2. It's just going to be Taquito running hidden and Fire Rage on Hard Rock, pretty expected, leaving Utami and Airyu to fill out the roster with the no mods. Meanwhile, for Brazil, we have Korean Moloko taking Hard Rock, also pretty expected since this is a bit of an aimier map, as well as Xcurito on hidden. As you said, he is the reading player, so it is a bit expected.
Yeah, nothing too crazy here. I think the United States learning their lesson with the difficulty of these free mods last week with that HDHR you mentioned. Not quite as comfortable as they would have expected, and I think against a team like Brazil, you do have to be more careful than that first seed to 32nd seed matchup. The United States being a first-seeded team kind of has that mindset of having that little bit of a wiggle room in these early matches, but against Brazil on an early-stage pool here, you don't really have those liberties. You don't have that room to take here. As you can see, very strong accuracies for both teams here all around. You've got 99+% on basically everyone except for Fiery Rage here, and Utami actually finds the first miss along with Luis.
Yeah, Luis traded. Luis did miss just slightly earlier, so USA is going to take that point advantage very, very quickly. But I think with accuracy so even right now, I don't think it's not going to be a very definitive miss. And this is also a bit of a longer pick, 3.5 minutes. Oh, that is really bad for you, United States. Fire Rage missing on that Hard Rock. Brazil now has the combo advantage and is now going to start to run away with this as we approach the halfway point of the map.
That is an unfortunate spot for Fiery to find a miss in. That's, again, about that 650 to 700k max score that he can have now. Airyu does still have that double S, but Mystia's right up there next to him. So he's not much for the United States there. Taquito does have insanely good hidden accuracy right now, but Xcurito, again, not too far behind. But as I say that, there's a three-way break.
A three-way break and two of them on Brazil. That does leave the United States with, once again, that combo advantage just slightly. Taquito still holding that hidden FC, gonna be the anchor for the United States on this pick, but Korean Moloko still holding that Hard Rock FC, gonna keep them in this, still winning by about 80,000 points as Brazil. We're getting to the two-quarter point, so XX Luiz's score is also gonna start to go up a little bit faster, I think. I'm not sure if this is gonna be winnable, except for...
Oh no! That is not what you want if you are Brazil right now. Luis, the only combo left. Taquito prevailing for the United States here. Corion just with that late miss right there. It would have been close regardless. I mean, the United States does have combo advantage. It would have been a rather close finish, but right now, it's all on Taquito. He's just going for it right now. There goes Luis and Corion again, and I think that's just it. Taquito with the FC into the end, and a significant score gap forming.
Airyu does miss, but I just think that the score advantage is now too much for Brazil to overcome. United States did, as a team, just collectively pull that score back. Not really any trouble left. Taquito does finally break his FC, but it does not matter. They're going to win this pick by about 250,000 points, maybe even approaching 300,000 as we get into the end here.
Yeah, it looks like it's about 300,000 into the ending, so unfortunately for Corion, just a little bit more than what would have been possible with a full combo. I think with that accuracy, it's not quite over that 1.03 million score gap there, but Taquito, 4 100s, 1 miss, and even Airyu, 2 misses, Mystia, 4 100s, 2 misses, such close scores, just unfortunate misses. during the map here, trading back and forth. Taquito's the one.
A super unfortunate first pick for Brazil, a break point for the United States, who immediately go and pick Nomad 4. I think this is pretty expected. Not surprising to see United States pick tech into Brazil. They do just have like an unfair tech roster on paper. I'm a Fancy Lad, Air Fire Rage, both very, very strong. But we do see Defons immediately come in for Brazil, as you mentioned. Here he is.
That's what we're looking for right here. I think Defons, again, one of the better players on the Brazilian team this year. Not even necessarily with his skill cap or skill floor, but the specialized skill sets that he has that Brazil's kind of been missing a little bit in previous years is going to be very important. You know, we always talk about the loss of Nissan being a big hit for Brazil, but I don't think we mentioned quite as much the additions to the team that they made this year. Actually, you know, being fairly good for them. I think, you know, jokes aside about Nissan Tech, I do think Brazil's tech roster is rather strong still without him this year, you know, despite losing that. But again, the United States on these tech maps, it's just so hard to pin against, you know, Air You Fancy Lad and Taquito on a tech map, even Fiery with the awkward skill sets.
Yeah, no, Fire Rage is very, very strong at tech still. I do think it's very scary seeing Taquito come in to fill out that roster for Nomad 4. This is pretty expected. It's right within his skill set. He's really good at these types of maps, even with Hidden. So I think without it, this should probably just be a breeze. He's really rounded himself out in this last year. So I think we can probably expect to see a pretty good score. I am concerned about seeing how Mouse Easy performs. Gosh. Yeah, I've heard very conflicting messages about his consistency so far on tablets, so I'm very interested to see how he performs on this.
Yeah, I am hoping that, you know, if we see the Mouse Easy that I think Brazil wants, you know, for their roster this year, and, you know, I think that they kind of need that step up from him in order to maintain that placement that they're looking for after last year's performance. He's going to have to find that consistency again. He's going to have to put up that carry performance. He played so well last year, and on this tech map, we're going to have to see how it holds up.
Yeah, he is still undoubtedly, I don't want to like sound like I'm discounting him. He is still undoubtedly one of Brazil's best players, but we do see that immediate double break from Defons and Mouse Easy.
Snyder breaks.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter yet. This map is, once again, like one of the longer ones, 3 minutes and 22 seconds, so not going to be super detrimental to Brazil just yet.
I think, you know, even with Mouse Easy, these longer maps do get a little bit more comfortable. You do talk about mouse drift a lot of the time, and, you know, I think players like Fancy Lad kind of dispel that idea that it's such a bad thing, given, you know, him being a mouse player himself. But the consistency not looking as bad as what you'd expect right now. Mouse Easy is just a solid overall player, and again, that unfortunate double slider break from Defons and Mouse Easy gonna put Brazil in the back a little bit here at the beginning. There's a lot of difficult cut patterns in this map, and I think there is potential for some note locking here if you misaim the start of one of those.
Yeah, I will say though, 6 out of 8 players still holding FCs. Pretty impressive. Make that 5. Air U does drop, but Brazil still going to be behind by just a little bit if we don't see United States with another break.
Defons with that accuracy, and Mouse Easy as well after those breaks, despite losing it. Defons shaking a little bit right now. He's going to have to be careful on this slider section right here. Everyone on the United States holding strong except for Taquito.
But XXOEs matches him. It's not going to matter just yet. That is one of their FCs still dropped, but it is. And Korean Maliko drops his. Oh my goodness.
That favors the United States.
It does, because Air U already had missed. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's Defons. Oh, and there's the break finally. I think his shakes got to him. He's a little bit more jittery than usual. There goes Fiery. But it's Mouse Easy versus Fancy Lad, and Fancy Lad does have superior accuracy. Mouse Easy also missing about 100 combo on this right now. There's not much you can do about it.
Can I just talk about Fancy Lad's accuracy, by the way?
Oh my goodness.
3100 so far on this. Very, very impressive. We can see if he can close it out. I do think that the United States now has this with that break from Korean Maliko. Mouse Easy just not going to be able to bring this back for Brazil, unfortunately.
Despite that early break, he looked very good on the remainder of the map. He's going to look to push 99% accuracy. He's not quite going to hit it, but that overall performance from Mouse Easy despite that break is very strong, and I guess he's kind of dispelling any thoughts that we had about his consistency here, you know. Slider breaks aside. Look at that. Fancy lad as well. Oh, man.
Fancy lad with 3
accuracy.
100s. Matched by Taquito, actually, but he does have the 50, so just brings it down his score a tiny bit, but still an incredibly impressive performance from both teams.
Oh my goodness, both teams. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Look at that. Only one miss on Corian and Luis, and then the slider breaks on Defons and Mouse Easy. You know, the only, I guess, notable thing for the United States here being their overall team accuracy just being so strong right now. Look at this, the most hundreds on Airyu, 17 100s. And, you know, I never really thought I'd say this, but Airyu probably the least comfortable tech player on this 4-man roster right here. So, well, I wouldn't say least proficient, I guess. I don't know. It's not really something that you would like pin Airyu as like the tech player, so I think it's understandable. But overall,
yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of their all-rounders, but that does say a lot considering he's in for like a substantial amount of maps. He does play quite a bit on this team.
He plays basically everything. Yeah,
I think one of the only things that he's not in for is like maybe AR8.
Yeah, and I think even that's just speaks to the prowess of the overall roster on this team. Like, when you can sit inside of a lobby and say, oh yeah, Airyu is not the strongest tech player on this roster, you know you have a good team running for you that year. So.
Yeah, absolutely true. But with that map closing out, United States does capitalize on their break point earlier in the match. It is now Brazil's pick, 2-0 in favor of the United States. They really need to get a point on the board here if they don't want the momentum to shift too far in the favor of the United States. And they do immediately pick DT2.
Speed time from the Brazilian team here, the Senya map. And again, you know, you mentioned Brazil's going to have to get on the board rather soon here in these best of 9 matches. You really don't want to go down on that 3-0. Not a position, but Brazil kind of playing with fire a little bit here. You're picking speed into a United States roster that just picked up Exarch, Arison, and Taquito. And that's... You're asking for a hard time, but the Brazil roster on these early stage speed maps is very strong. The AR is not super high. I know it says 168 BPM down there. It doesn't quite update for the DT, but this is something that I think Brazil could power through here. 252 is the final BPM on this, and then again, 2 minutes, 25 seconds. So not short, not super long, doesn't leave a lot of room for that breaks, that consistency, that accuracy really going to have to shine through.
Yeah, this is quite the ballsy pick from Brazil, I will say. Watching them pick something where Arison is on your opponent team is just incredibly it's an interesting strategy. That is all I will say. However, you did say that this is like a bit more of a comfortable DT2 pick. BPM not too intense just yet. Round of 16 not going to be pushing the mechanics too hard yet. But yeah, United States still has a very, very scary speed roster, especially with like players like Exarch also pushing his speed limits, his mechanical capabilities in the last year. He is more than competent on this type of map. Fancy Lad, Utami, Arison, all known for their mechanics. So Brazil really needs to put in a proper roster here. We do see it's looking like Korea Maliko, Luis, Mischa, and Kirito.
Maybe Mouse Easy.
Oh, maybe
yeah,
not. Mouse Easy just come in for Korean. Yeah, I was going to mention Korean being in for the speed map, but that does make a lot more sense.
Oh, maybe he is still in. Luis? I thought Luis is a strong speed player for Brazil. I'd be surprised to not see him.
I think we see Sanji Lift in the lobby.
Sanji Lift! Oh!
Sanji Lift Tornado.
Sanji Lift is here! Everybody.
Incredible.
All right. Brazil just wins this pick. I'm sorry, United States, you lost.
Yeah, this is just unfortunate for the United States here. I don't know how we're going to see them come back from this upsetting development, but we'll have to see what happens. I think GLHF's coming out. The map is about to start. Final roster for Brazil is going to be Mouse Easy, Sanji Lift, Mischa, and X Kirito. We did mention X Kirito as being the reading player, but he is actually like pretty good at everything. He's just notably performs on stuff like Hidden, and he's very, very good at low stage too. So we're just going to have to see what happens here.
Skill floor is exceedingly strong on X Kirito, so he'll be using that to his advantage on this opening map. But again, you're going into a DT2 pick against the United States. You've got Utami, who has basically unlimited stamina. Arison has unlimited stamina, finger control speed, basically anything. If he double S's this map, people aren't really surprised. Exarch's strong speed player as well, but again, Sanji Lift, he shows up. He's fast.
He is definitely fast.
He is ready for speed maps in here. So is Mistia as well.
Yeah, and we do have a quick act drop from the United States in general. Brazil going to be taking the very early lead here, especially with Utami's break at about 100 combo in the map.
Well, I guess it comes down to Arison versus Sanji Lift, and it's Arison to break first.
But Misha did follow up, so it's not going to matter too much yet. Brazil still only winning by about 40,000 points in the first quarter.
Look at that ACK lead for Brazil, though. This is, I mean, it's basically on Utami and FancyLad right now. Exarch is hanging right up there. Mistia did drop a little bit on that stream, but you've got Mouseeasy and Xcurito still rather high, sitting right close to that 99. Mouseeasy almost at that double S with Sanji Lift finally dropping 100.
Yeah, and but Misha does drop again. United States now does have the combo advantage by just a little bit, even though Arison did drop a bit earlier. But 3 FCs for Brazil. If they keep holding, I don't know if the United States is going to be able to come back unless we see some pretty substantial act drops.
We're going to need through the map.
Yeah, we're going to need really big act drops, I think. But Sanji Lift and Mouseeasy double break. That's so bad for Brazil. United States is now going to start to run away with this with 2 or 3 FCs almost remaining.
Yeah, that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it right there. I don't actually think that there's any way. I mean, United States would have to drop all 4 players right now, and Xcurito would just have to lunge over the line. I think it's just too late.
Yeah, Xcurito also with a little bit of shake. I think he's probably a bit nervous, but now that he sees the scoreboard, I think that will probably fade away. He knows that this pick is now all but gone.
Yeah, this is just unfortunate. I mean, even if one of Mouseeasy or Sanji Lift held, there goes Misty again on that slower section for the build-up here. There's really not much.
Oh, it wasn't Pancho, wow.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but...
Wow, United States, though, is just looking kind of unstoppable right now. We are now nearing a almost 1 million point lead. I think we actually will hit it by the end of the map if the FCs hold.
Yeah, this is just, I mean, Exarch and Utami right now with that accuracy is, what do you do against this? I mean, even if you put up that double triple FC, that is just outstanding.
Talking about Arison, by the way.
Arison, okay, yeah.
I think he had 1 slider break.
I think
he had 1 slider. No, he had one miss.
Missed. Oh,
that is just unlucky. Oh my goodness.
What is that? Single-digit 100 count and no 100 count from the United States there, and then again, FancyLad just not the strong speed player, but he will certainly go through an FCM map like this. Xcurito for Brazil, man, 99.14. We talked about that skill floor, and boy, does it show.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just unfortunate that Brazil is not able to bring that back in their own pick. It is now 3-0 in favor of the United States, who instantly pick Hidden 1. Pretty expected. They do have like one of the strongest Hidden rosters in this tournament.
I think the United States is one of those teams, you know, they put together some practice scores during the week, maybe play a practice lobby, and then they come into this match, they know exactly where their 3- and 4-way FC map potential is. Like, I mean, you even saw in that last map, 3 FCs, and Arison 1 missed with not a single 100 or 50 to be seen on the map. So you're looking at a team that is still potentially putting up 4-way FCs fairly consistently in a round of 16 matchup, which means that you need to be scared on their picks.
Yeah, you need to either be scared on their picks or just absolutely prepared for any eventuality. And I'm not sure if Brazil prepared adequately, but we're going to have to see here. 3-0. I mean, it is still comebackable. Like, I don't want to say that. This match is all but over. Like, not all but over, rather. But we're just going to have to see. I think players like Mouseeasy and Misha are going to have to really start putting on a show here.
Yeah, we're kind of in crunch time for Brazil, I guess I would call it right now. Like that, you know, best of 9, that 3-0 starts to get dangerous. It's not necessarily the team morale, it's more Brazil has to work through so many breakpoints to force match point if the United States gets their pick that, you know, with the current performance, that's gonna be a stretch at a certain point. Like, taking a break point or 2 against the United States is full well possible, and it has been done multiple times, but to ask for, what, 2 break points or 3 break points against the United States in order to force match point or tiebreaker it's tough. And
yeah, it's even worth talking about nerves after a certain point, because I think if once you take 2 break points off the United States, which that is what would have to happen here, you'd still be at 3-3, and then I feel like you would be like, what are we doing? I would start to get a bit nervous about the outcome of the match at that point.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will have to see. It looks like rosters are finalized. United States going to be taking Utami, Airyu, Taquito, and Xart. I'm kind of surprised to not see Digital Hypno in on this. The hidden aim map, that is something that he's pretty strong at, but I guess Airyu looking to round it out. And then for Brazil, we have Korean Monaco, Defons, Mission, and X-Kirito. Pretty expected roster, I would say.
That's a scary hidden roster, too.
Absolutely.
Oh, I mean, if you go into a multi-lobby and you see either of these two hidden rosters, you're in for a really bad time against both of them.
Absolutely. This is also one of the longest maps in the pool, clocking in at 4 minutes and 3 seconds. So I think that nerves is something that will absolutely come into play here, especially towards the back half of the map.
See the accuracy suffering a little bit more for Brazil here on Korean and Defons, but it's nothing that they really need to be worried about here. The United States is going to start this one off strong, so both teams looking fairly comfortable with these beginning patterns. This map doesn't really get harder or easier. This is, I mean, Lasse is kind of known for that consistent mapping style throughout entire, songs and maps, especially over 4 minutes, so you're really not going to be seeing too much, ridiculous patterning.
Yeah, this is a remarkably consistent map from Lasse. Big props to him. But I do think that that's why nerves are going to be so important coming into this map. Because if you get even a little bit of shake, you can start to move too fast. Especially since this is it's 0.4. It's pretty readable, but the BPM is a lot lower than most standard aim maps in tournaments like this. And just like that, we've seen X-Kirito and Mistia immediately dropping their combos.
That's not the type of player that you want to see dropping your combo. X-Kirito, not necessarily one of the stronger aim players, but definitely one of the stronger hidden players. There goes Airyu, though, so there is an opening for Brazil to get right back into this. Having Mistia miss, though, that's pretty big for them. 99.62% and not having that FC. That is a lot of ground to recover for Brazil there.
Yeah, he did miss about a minute into the map, too. So that is probably going to knock off at least about 200,000 score off of his final total. So United States is now going to pull ahead by about 100,000 points, even with that drop from Airyu, because their core 3 are looking very, very strong.
Again, it's that accuracy as well. Sitting strong for basically everyone except for X-Kirito right now. You got that 99% running on 7 of the 8 players here.
Yeah, this is looking... this is, in fairness, not really a map that's known for its accuracy difficulties. It's just about that aim consistency and the reading.
Especially with, you throw hidden on and you start to move from those big wide spacing jumps into these really dense, closely knit circles, and it really does test your aim control quite a bit.
Your focus as well. It is if you don't have complete cursor awareness, it is very easy to completely miss on multiple patterns in this map. And just like that, X-Kirito, it does drop. But Tommy matches it. That's actually really good for Brazil. That is an FC gone.
Oh, but there's Korean!
Yeah, Korean matches it. That is brutal. United States now winning by about 200,000 points.
Taquito accuracy.
Yeah, Taquito holding 100. And Defons drops his FC too. That is really, really bad for Brazil. I don't think that is going to be... I think that's probably going to be it.
Brazil on this page. There goes Tommy, but I think 3/4 of the way through. Mistia's accuracy too.
Yeah, his accuracy is really good, but Taquito right now, the debut hidden player for the United States. Utami, obviously very good at hidden, but I think Taquito, for the first couple of years of his career as a top player, really made his name with his hidden scores. It's Taquito, coming out right here.
He plays everything with hidden. I mean, if any of you have ever seen Taquito in tiebreaker matches or free mod, he's the go-to hidden player. I mean, I don't know many players that are quite as consistently strong on hidden aim maps than Taquito, and he's kind of trashing this map right now. And unfortunately enough for Brazil, they don't have much to match it. Most notably, though, again, I'm gonna keep coming back to it. Mistia 99.81 and climbing. Does finally drop some hundreds on the stream, but man, that one miss is so unfortunate.
Absolutely. I do just want to point out Xart going to be coming out with the second FC for United States as well. Yeah. There are actually 2 FCs still remaining on the United States, putting up a score of over 3 million as a team.
There's no way Taquito just won X100 at that map.
That is just a Taquito moment.
Chance.
Shout out Taquito.
That is just absolutely disgusting from Taquito, and he just gets the heck out of here.
Yeah, probably to catch his breath. He's probably very nervous after a performance like that.
Oh man.
And that is going to be 4-0. United States once again capitalizing on their own pick. They have now forced the tiebreaker. Brazil now in a very grim position. They need to pick absolutely perfectly here if they want to stay in this.
Yeah, and again, that's where that, you mentioned before, that dangerous position of being down 3 or 4-0 is you need to go through so many break points that feasibility just goes so far down. Despite how strong Brazil may be as a team, even if this wasn't the United States, going from 4-0 and winning that many break points is a task against any team in this tournament, because ultimately they're going to have at least some map that they know that they can win in some capacity consistently. So
yeah,
kind of living on a prayer for most of that, for going and picking, waiting for the other team.
I also do just want to point out Exarch with the back-to-back FCs in this. That is the match cost farm method.
Wasn't he? He was the strongest player on the U.S. roster last week too, wasn't he?
I believe so.
I have to some of the highest scores out of any player on the team last week, I thought, which is pretty cool to see one of the new players coming in and really showing up.
I wonder, if you are Brazil in this position, do you pick Nomad 1?
Brazil AIM team?
It's more like Brazil.
I wouldn't discount it.
Brazil consistency abuse team.
Consistency AIM?
But I don't know if I don't know if it's a smart pick, but I just wonder if they're going to pick it.
I mean, I think anything along the lines of a Nomad 1 wouldn't be out of the question. I think that they should avoid double time, and then they might have a good time on Dynamite, but you're just hoping that someone finds a slider break on the United States for that one, I feel like.
Yeah, that is it is the consistency Hard Rock pick, but it's really difficult. Slider jumps in a Hard Rock map are just not very forgiving in general. And the fact that it goes to 220 BPM. But they picked Fremont 1.
Okay.
I don't
pick Taquan. All right.
I don't know about this one. I'm gonna be honest. I don't understand this pick.
It is kind of Amy.
It's Amy, but they also banned the hidden too, and you need to take a hidden. I guess they're just gonna put X-Kirito on hidden if I had to guess, but
doable, and maybe hope that. I mean, I feel like Defons should play this at this point.
Yeah, I think we can hopefully expect to see him on Hard Rock. But that said, Misha not at all a bad 6.5 player. So he might take Hard Rock and then maybe put Defons on Nomad, or we just keep Korean Maliko and Mouse Easy in.
I mean, I think that would be a good idea. Okay, Mouse Easy at the very least would be a very good idea. He's been playing fairly consistently today. You haven't seen too many massive breaks at, unfortunate points for him. But, Corian maybe not necessarily having the best match today, but maybe Defons just lost a little bit of that confidence over the past couple of maps. He hasn't looked bad. But, Corian may be just a little bit more ready for that CS5 aim, maybe a little bit more confident on the sliders here. No unfortunate breaks. Defons could be kind of spooked off of that based on the slider breaks from previous maps.
Very true. I will say, however, this United States roster is looking absolutely terrifying right now. We have Taquito on Hidden and Fire Rage on Hard Rock. Fire Rage known for his precision skill on Hard Rock. Fancy Lad and Utami, some of the most consistent gimmick players in the entire tournament, and then Taquito Hidden, as we just saw, a force to be reckoned with. So I think Brazil definitely has their work cut out for them on this pick. We do have Korean running Hard Rock, who was their strongest hit. He did run Hard Rock on the other Fremont pick, so it does make sense. X-Kirito, the hidden player, and then Mouse Easy and Misha, the anchors. We are going to have to see what happens here. I am very interested in Brazil's strategy here, so maybe they will prove me wrong.
Well, Brazil's going to look to get a point on the board with this one. If they do, they're going to have to fight through the United States pick after. Taquito is either a little bit behind or dropped a slider break at the beginning. It looks like he dropped a slider break based on his accuracy.
Yeah, he dropped a slider break and also probably took a little bit to get acclimated to the BPM, maybe.
Yeah.
But because of that, Brazil is going to take this very early lead. This map is 3 minutes long, so it is going to take a little bit for that score to really, really matter.
Brazil's going to have to pick up that consistency a little bit here. I think that the general consensus based on what we've seen thus far has been Brazil, strong team. They're looking confident on their picks, but consistency not, maybe not even that. Maybe it's just the consistency looking a little bit better on the United States today. They found less of those, kind of like, oh no, I missed here because I missed here in practice type breaks, which is something you look for.
I don't think that any sort of
Like that.
that drop from
Yeah.
Mouse Easy is really bad. But I will say, I don't think that it's ever worth talking about how lackluster a team's consistency may be when going up against the United States. You just sort of need to acknowledge how far ahead the United States is in that regard, at least on early stages. But yeah, that break from Mouse Easy is not good. It was about a third of the way into the map. Not as bad as it could be, but the United States is going to take advantage of that.
Ooh, that's big though, Corian, with that Hard Rock break. That is an unanswered double break from Brazil now, and it is already just going downhill. Mouse Easy continuing to find misses.
Yeah, this is starting to look like nail in the coffin status, I think, for Brazil, unfortunately.
This might, I mean, who's the player that we even expect to break on the United States right now? Like Fiery Rage finding a slider break maybe, but then I wouldn't put money on it.
Yeah, Taquito has recovered so nicely at this point with the hit, and even after that very early slider break and being a little confused about the BPM, just doesn't matter. They're winning by about 400,000 points at the 3/4 mark. Fiery Rage says, "Oh, in the smoke."
I mean, 98.9% with Hard Rock. I mean, Corian's right behind him with that, but man, that accuracy is strong right now. Utami looking good on the Nomad as well. I think understandably a very strong AR8 Nomad player and hidden player. Taquito kind of doing what he does best on the Hard Rock. There goes Corian again, unfortunately. Misty and X-Kirito trying to do anything that they can right now. X-Kirito taking the act drops for the combo, but it is all for naught right now. The United States pushing 3.5 million right now. Going to be looking for an almost 4 million team score, if not...
I think we will hit it. I think they will hit it.
It's going to be so close to over that.
Oh,
it does go over right at the end.
Wow.
4 million.
What an impressive score. Taquito with the very early 2 misses. I feel like what might have actually happened is maybe he had his fingers on the wrong keys.
Possibly.
He might have missed the first 2 notes. But yeah, that is going to be a very definitive victory from the United States. 5-0 in the round of 16 against Brazil.
Man, the Brazilian team, they looked so good last year. They look really good this year as well. And I mean, you can't discount this at all. That team score from Brazil is nothing to scoff at by any means. I mean, that is a very strong performance. Mouse Easy having a little bit of trouble on the AR8. But, you go up against the United States, you go up against the number 1 seeded team. And unfortunately, you can't always have, your best day ever. And, I think the United States playing very well in this match today just had a little bit more in them for this one, and they are able to take that clean sweep victory to advance to the next stage of the tournament. And Brazil will start fighting their way through the losers bracket. Again, I think people discounted Brazil missing a couple strong players this year, but they still look really good. They're going to make a run in the losers bracket. Unfortunate round of 16 matchup once again, but what can you do about it?
The scheduling curse, too unfortunate for Team Brazil. But I do think that is going to be it for us today. I think that is our last match of the day, if I am not mistaken. Well, there is a very, very late match between Canada and Taiwan at 3 o'clock UTC. Yeah, technically
for Saturday, it's over.
Yes, for us United States players, it is one more match today. But
yes,
that will definitely be the last match for a while. I believe that is going to be in about 5 hours from now, if I'm not mistaken.
3 UTC for Canada versus Taiwan. Gonna be very cool to see that. Hopefully everyone comes back and watches that despite the late timing of that. Hopefully we get a good showing for that. It's going to be a very close match. Taiwan looking strong after last weekend, as does Canada.
Yeah, worth noting, they also have met at this stage, I think 3 or 4 times at this point. Canada versus Taiwan in round of 16 is just sort of an inevitability in the World Cup. We can see, I believe Canada has won every time in this matchup. So we can see if Taiwan can sort of break the curse in about 5 hours from now.
It's going to be close. They're looking for it, but a lot more matches for this weekend. So we got 5 hours from now will be Canada versus Taiwan. And of course, come back all Sunday. We've got matches strewn throughout the day. Unfortunately enough, we will have 3 matches at 13 UTC. But if you come back at 13 UTC, we will have the United Kingdom versus South Korea showing up for that. A very exciting matchup. Again, another matchup that we have seen multiple times in the round of 16 now. So we'll be looking for a little bit more redemption maybe for the UK on that. But regardless, 5 hours from now, we will return. We hope to see all of you back for that, and then we will welcome you back for all the rest of those Sunday matches for some more exciting round of 16 gameplay.
Absolutely. And I think that is going to do it for us for now. I have been Will Stetson. Thank you very much for commentating with me, Mr. Chili Repair. See you in about 5 hours. Be there or be square.